What up, dude, bro? Spider-Venture Miller. Today, I'm looking at the Aeon Pro X, a very exciting offering from Dart Zone, along with the Nexus Pro X. This is a top prime magazine-fed blaster that shoots exclusively half-length darts. So, let's get into it. Included with the Aeon Pro X is the blaster itself, sight, scar barrel, darts, and instructions. External overview of the blaster, starting up at the front, this is not an end-strike barrel lug, this is a Dart Zone blaster. However, it does have an included scar muzzle. We've seen this before on the Dart Zone Mark IV, the Nexus Pro X. This is kind of Dart Zone's new branded scar barrel. And the cool thing about it is, I think I forgot to mention this in my Nexus Pro X review, but you can slap this on to any aftermarket barrels, like worker barrels or anything like that, just with this little fat piece at the end. And I personally think that's really cool. Up above, we do have an iron sight, which corresponds with the rear iron sight. Now, this is a pretty tight iron sight. It's kind of a pain to take off and put on. And the sighting picture is pretty okay for a Dart Zone blaster because these things do shoot pretty accurately, so you don't have to worry about that too much. But up above, we do have a Picatinny rail on the side, on the top, two on the side, and then one on the bottom. And then back behind, we do have the priming handle to prime. You do that. The prime action itself is insanely smooth. This thing feels fantastic. It's one up over the original Aeon Pro. The fact that this, I don't know how they manage this. It's a very smooth prime for how much it shoots or how powerful it shoots, and I'm very impressed with them. Great job on this one, Dart Zone. And down below, we do have the magazine release. Now, this does have the same feature as the Nexus Pro X, where you can use the flappy paddle magazine release, or if you're more oriented to the Strife, you can just flick it like that, and the magazine drops. Included, again, is another amazing Talon-like magazine, and of course, this one is purple. So if you wanted to match it to your Nexus Pro X, you totally can, and it looks very sick, I'm telling you what. But this is, of course, a very nicely, I'd say, flared magwell, which makes reloading pretty smooth on this one, even though I just botched it. And then we do have a safety, so when it is protruding from this side, it's safe. I cannot pull the trigger, push through, and I can't pull the trigger. Now down to the trigger itself. The trigger brake is actually pretty smooth, and the blaster does have slam fire, meaning you can hold down the trigger, and when you pump and return, it'll automatically fire. This increases your rate of fire while slightly sacrificing your accuracy. Now down to the grip. The grip on this blaster is another great grip. Like, it feels amazing. It's the same on the Nexus Pro X, but it is very comfortable. I have a pretty decently sized hand, and my hand fits on this very well. And now back behind, we have an end strike stock attachment point. So if you want to get your favorite Nerf stock, you can just slap it on here with no fuss. And it's honestly, it feels amazing. And it's really helpful and useful, especially if you're going to slam fire off your shots. It's very nice to have a stock to brace into your shoulder so you can just slam fire with very great ease. But that is an external overview of the Aeon Pro X. Now let's show you this thing firing. I'm going to be using Ember darts to get some very firing demo. Slam fire by holding down the trigger. Firing the Aeon X is such a blast. This is a smooth operator, and it performs really well and pretty accurately. One thing I do want to go over real quick, if you are going to be using a scar muzzle, I recommend the P-Car. It performs a little bit better with it, but it also performs a slight bit more accurate, as you saw in the firing demo. And then one thing I did want to go over, apologies for not going over more dart types in the firing demo, but I did do chrono tests with 3 different dart types. So let's get into that real quick. With Ember darts, I was getting an average of about 150 feet per second, which is very impressive from this thing. I think the box had an average around just about that. So very impressive with that. And then I threw X-shot darts over the chronograph, and I was getting an average of about 145 feet per second, which is amazing. Again, very good numbers with that. And I'm coming more impressed with the X-shot darts. And then I threw ruby darts over the chronograph, and I got an average of 140 feet per second. But just like with the Nexus Pro X, these were pretty all over the place. They were not the most accurate thing in the world. Well, not accurate. It was more harder to like get an average with because the numbers were kind of all over the place. I was getting an average of 170, 130, 160. Like they were all over the place. So I don't recommend ruby darts out of this. But that is all the objective information I can provide in this blaster. Not in my personal opinion. Overall, I'm blown away with this product. It is such an amazing blaster. Like just like with the originals, like I was very impressed with it, and just like with the Nexus Pro X, I'm really impressed with this. 150 FPS, $25 is amazing, especially with the new design of the Aeon Pro X. I think it looks really sleek, and of course, if you put it next to the original Aeon Pro, it's about the same. The only difference, of course, is the stock attachment point, the grip, and then, of course, the front end, which I think looks really sick. And it's a great blaster. But I did want to go over this last quick detail and to kind of bring out the original Aeon Pro. Because, again, I still need to refresh this just because, look, I'm amazed that Dark Zone is releasing these blasters. However, you still shouldn't forget what the original ones brought you. Now, of course, this isn't a smooth prime, and of course it's a little creaky and all that, but the thing is, this was still an amazing blaster when it came out, because $25 and you got 140 FPS, it was amazing. And to be honest, I think the reason why they're re-releasing these blasters is because, to be honest, let me be real with you guys, how many of you were brought into the hobby with the Nexus Pro and the Aeon Pro? I'm pretty sure a lot of you were. And for those who weren't, I'm still glad you're in the hobby, but the thing is, this brought a lot of people into the hobby along with the Nexus Pro. And I think what these are trying to be, these are trying to be nice little upgrades, not to fully obsolete these, but to say, hey, to all of the people who got into the hobby with this, here's a nice upgrade. Like, honestly, I really think this is what you would get if you put this into a Pack-a-Punch machine. But I just wanted to kind of state that because there's some people who are already starting to completely forget about the originals, and there's one person I know who doesn't even have an Aeon Pro, but doesn't even need it now, or at least like he says he doesn't even care about it because this is out. And yes, it's a good upgrade, but guys, please don't be harsh on the originals. In fact, you shouldn't even be comparing the new ones to the original ones, because in my opinion, that's totally unfair. Again, just don't forget what the original ones brought you, and please only have that opinion if you actually have the original, because again, they're both great blasters. The advantage, I think, goes to an advantage to the Aeon Pro, at least, is that it uses full-length darts, but a whole lot of people aren't using full-length darts anymore, even though they still have a pretty good place in our hobby. At least I say, and another friend of mine says. But again, that's not the whole point of this video. It's to talk about the praise of this blaster. Now to the question to buy or not to buy. If you are a performance gain nerfer, this is a really great option. And if you are new coming into the hobby who is getting into like pro level blasters, this is a great option for you. This is $25 at Walmart. It's a really great option. It's well balanced. It feels well. That prime, I cannot get over that. It is so smooth, but also a nice little feature. That air seal is perfect. That's kind of what I wanted to get into this little segment. So thank you guys so much for checking out my video. This is, of course, a very fun blaster to use. And again, very impressed with these darts on. Great job. But much love, blast on, and stay tactical. Oh.